He's on guard. What's that? Oh, it's an airplane. It's a perfectly normal, super cool airplane flying slowly over my house. You know, there's a lot of important reasons to fly small airplanes at low altitude repeatedly over homes all day, every single day of the week. How you doing? Hey, yeah, you're number one. No, wait. You're number two. That means poo. Okay, I'm done. Fucking douchebag. Look at real clouds. This is day 3 with no chemtrails after 3 straight days of chemtrails. Lovely. Now I'm done. Okay, the trike. This is my issues I've been working on here. You can see it's at a bit of an angle right now. I guess the ground is uneven. That doesn't help any, but its problem was it rode like crap. It was rough as hell, and because of the straight axle in the back, it would rock side to side in front. You hit a bump in the back, it transfers up here, and then the rake is out there, and it would throw the handlebars around, which made it difficult to ride. You just had to hold it really stiff, and it just didn't have any suspension, basically. Whoa. Okay. Now, so my first addition was air shocks. I took out the motorcycle shocks that had virtually no travel and put on these air shocks here from a Ford Ranger. And yes, I have nuts for spacers right now, but I'm gonna change them out for proper spacers after everything is put in place. So what I have here is, this is a leaf spring that was on here. What were they using it for? I don't even remember now, but it was on here for some reason. Anyway, so it's got these brackets, little L brackets. They're a little janky right now, but there's no one there, there's no one there, holding the leaf spring in place so that it can be centered, so that this spring can sit centered. The air shocks also act as springs, and since they're air and they balance each other out, that should keep it level, right? But it's canted to the side. And I think that's just because I don't have this plate in the exact position it should be in order to keep the spring here, because the spring I cut, it comes up and how am I going to see it there? I guess, well, you can see the end of it right there. It's not flat where it connects, and so I think the spring is pushing it up to the right hand side here, the way that it's sitting on the base. So hopefully I can rotate that bottom plate around and then get this thing to sit level. And that's really the biggest issue that's left, because I rode it the other day, and even with the off angle thing, it rode really well. It wasn't shaky, there was nothing felt funny really at all. It rode really nice, even over bumps, no shimmy in the bars and all that good stuff. It was really good on the freeway at like 70 or so. It's just nice and smooth. So that's very encouraging. I need to finalize things now so that it can be sold. I think here's my exhaust. Got some new clamps finally, so this is doing pretty good actually on the exhaust. There's a little tiny bit of an exhaust leak I can detect, but it's not, you don't really hear it so much as you can feel heat. A little more heat than should be wafting up to your legs when you're idling in the hot sun. One other issue I did have when I changed things around was, I had to get more height to the back end, but I couldn't, because right here, you can see this here, that edge, and you can see right there, this plate is solidly connected to the diff, or to the axle, and it has these this was the guide right here. This overhang was the guide that slipped into, and it wouldn't allow any change in angle or anything, and it was holding that. The drive shaft was all the way choked up as short as it would go. So I couldn't just point it down, because going down with it changed the angle too much, and it would not get off of there. It would not handle it here at the steering knuckle. Or I mean, it's not steering knuckle, the drive shaft. U-joint, whatever. This is a stock Honda one, I think, up there, and it doesn't have a lot of range for, up and down. So I extended the rear end back and then repositioned the fenders accordingly, so that, at the diverging angles, here's level, here's the way the rear end was going, and you extend it back farther and you get a little bit of lift. So it gave me some more suspension. And then, like I said, with the coil spring there, it's pushing it off at an angle a little bit, I think. So when I is it right there? I'm gonna loosen up that bolt and lift the weight off of this and rotate that bottom plate until it's at the position where everything is centered again, and this ought to sit level. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. There's nothing else that should be doing that. Exhaust sounds really good, actually. I did not rejet the carburetors. I may still do that. I haven't yet, because I'm still running the air box fully, and changing exhaust and changing air intakes will require you to change the jets to some degree. But I think the biggest thing is the air box, and that hasn't been changed. So what I did is I synced it and I tuned it, and then I turned the carbs about a quarter turn more rich than they actually should be, so it gets a little more fuel and helps prevent a lean condition from causing any damage. And there's no signs of any issues with the motor, so I'm thinking it's probably going to be okay as long as the air box isn't changed. There's no real need to on a Goldwing, because the air box is all inside. So engine's getting a little dirty, but not a drop of fuel or anything has leaked on my nice, pretty sparkly engine paint job. So I'm glad about that. Carbs seem to be holding up well. I blacked them out just so I didn't want to try and make them all look like new again. So, hey, let's do black carb bodies. It's a midnight special. Alright, so, yeah, that's where I'm at on the thing. If I had a couple months just to play with this, I would I would turn this brake into a clutch so that it was a foot clutch. And I should probably do that anyway, because it would be real simple just to hook the clutch cable into this bracket that's already here for the brakes light switch, and bam, foot clutch. And then the brake would be moved up to where the clutch would normally go, and so left hand would be your rear brake, right hand would be your front brake. One thing on Goldwings too that I always thought was just stupid that they did, Goldwings are good bikes, but there's a couple things that, or at least one, that just bugged the crap out of me with my old Goldwing. And the one I got out there, I just realized, because I'd forgotten about this, but because I'm dealing with it, I remembered it. See these brake lines? They've been added so that they connect together, and both calipers squeeze at the same time, which is how almost all motorcycles are, and how they should be, because you want good, powerful front brakes, and some people hardly ever use the back brakes. Well, Goldwings are set up so that this caliper is operated off of the back brake master cylinder, and the front brake only actuates the left side caliper. So you think you got both discs for stopping in the front, but unless you're using the rear brake as well, you don't. Goldwings require you to use the front and rear brakes in order to have both of the front brakes work, and I think that is just incredibly stupid. I mean, I get it, it's for novice riders who will use their back brake for sure, but what if you didn't realize it was set up like that and you're out riding it and you're like, why are my brakes so weak? Because you're just trying to use the fronts, and most of your stopping power is in the front. So it was a way to require you to use your rear brake also, but you don't always want to use your rear brake necessarily. And yeah, I think that was a really dumb thing they did. So I'm going to change that on my other Goldwing. And the wheels, oh yeah, I made a video on it, but there's the car wheels on the forward rear end. And here's the wheel from my 85 Goldwing. I just happened to be sitting out here looking at the two one day, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the same style of mag. I mean, there's not as many spokes, obviously, because that's the front wheel. But, I mean, down to several of the details, that's the same kind of setup. Thought that was pretty cool. The wheel it had on, well, that gave me some issues. This is a 16-inch wheel, and it gave me like a speed wobble issue, but that was due to the fact that it's a trike, so you're not on a balance like you are on a two-wheeled motorcycle. And going down in the size, it was 1.5 inches shorter overall on the wheel, and that affected it with the angle. But since I've extended the wheelbase and changed the angles that it mounts back here, I rode it the other day and no speed wobble issue. So that, I was like, oh, thank God, because that's the biggest thing I was concerned about. But as far as that, here's the wheel it had on it. This great big monster here had this with big chrome covers over the disc, and it didn't wobble with that, but it's a very it's a very large wheel, 18-inch with a big tire on it too, and it looked funky on there. It didn't match, and when I saw that wheel matched, I was like, aha, wunderbar. Yeah, so just that angle thing, and I'm pretty sure it's gotta be just that bottom plate. So that's what I'm gonna be doing now. Get that plate straightened so that it sits level, and then I can finalize everything. I can put my proper spacers in and start doing the final things that, finishing touches, and making it cleaned up as nice as it could be. My forte is not detailing and making things pretty. I mean, I kind of can. I can kind of do that, but I'm not, super proficient at it. But I'm pretty good with the mechanicals. Just keep at it until something makes sense, and eventually I get there. I'm not super genius at anything, but I'm tenacious. So I just keep going until something happens. Oh yeah, my daughter came over the other night, and I took my trailer over there. The wheels on it are the ones off old wheels off of her car, and I got new tires for the trailer. She's gonna go up to something in the gorge amphitheater here and camping, and so checking her car over. And told her, well, you have these 2 new tires, and I'll take your one swapped off. And I got to go put those on the trailer. Here's my other wing that I took. This wheel is off of that 82. It's a 19-inch, and this tire is awesome. And with the 19-inch on here instead of the 16, this bike handles really, really good. It's completely smooth through its, leaning it left, leaning it right through corners. There's no sticking point where it wants to drop quickly or raise up quickly. It's just completely neutral. This actually feels really good. Without the crash bars too, I can hang corners pretty tight on it. It's kind of a tall bike too. Anyway, yeah, that's what it had on it, on the trike, the Comstar. And now They match. You can see the angle though. It definitely needs to be. What pretty girl? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to speak to me? They'll be back soon. She has anxiety issues, poor little thing. Oh, pretty girl. They'll be back pretty soon. Yes, they will. You'll be okay. This is the pup, and there's Mama, the littlest one. Hi, Susie. Aw, little sweetie. Okay, guys. All right. I guess that's it. I'm gonna get to work.